Hello there, it's me, Tracy. I'm back. I've been writing a book, so I disappeared for a bit. And I just popped on because I wanted to talk about something that ties in with my film, The Power of No, my little vid, The Power of No. Now, the power of no is a thing all unto itself because the word no is such a potent thing for a lot of people. A lot of people are terrified to say no because it's so final, right? But that does tie in with something else, which is boundaries. And boundaries, sometimes they're mistaken. People get mistaken about what boundaries are. I often read about or hear people talking about someone trespassing their boundaries, and it turns out, that person, actually what they're calling a boundary, is they have a set of rules for people, and those people don't follow those rules, then they get angry about it because they want what they want. And that is controlling behavior. It's not boundaries. So let's just rule that one out now. But boundaries per se can be quite scary because none of us want to lose our friends. We don't want to lose the people we love. And if you say what you really think, you might lose people. You might also make enemies, right? But that's all children's thinking. The truth is, if you use the right kind of communication, it's never wrong to implement a boundary with someone. Because in the long run, if you don't, and they keep trespassing something that absolutely messes with you, you won't want to talk to them anymore. You'll avoid them. Or you'll suddenly lose it, and it'll look like you've lost your mind about something that you've never mentioned before. So then they'll say that you're crazy, when actually all that's happened is you've been too polite. So having boundaries is the day you implement them is the day you become less polite about your own requirements for feeling comfortable. And as long as you communicate kindly and with real truth behind what you're saying and firmly, then you will either find that the person respects you even more because you've expressed something. They may have a counter to that to say, well, I can't do that because one of my boundaries is this, but it's communication. Building proper boundaries is actually really good communication, really good. And once you start to implement these things so that you're more comfortable in your own life, you'll find that, just like with kids, they need boundaries, don't they? Well, if you give adult people in your life the same thing, where if they overstep a certain mark, it's a no-no, then you're putting yourself into a position where anything else that happens, you can talk about it and it shouldn't be as serious, you know. A good example of boundary giving is if someone's behavior around you is absolutely the opposite to what you want around you. For instance, like today was an interesting one. I had a conversation with a friend who said, please do one of these. I could do with some boundaries myself. But we're talking about chaos. If somebody else is quite last minute and they don't think about things till the last second, but you're like, well, me, an ADHD, my way of handling how I am is to have an eye on everything at all times. And when I'm going to do something, it gets done. Like when I'm going to write a book, it gets done a million times quicker than it should really. But if I've said I'll see someone and then it's not going to happen, I will tell them in advance. If I say that I'm going to do something for them, it is done exactly when I said it was going to be done, you know. Other people aren't like that, and it's not bad or good, they're just different, right? So if you say, well, that there absolutely goes against every single impulse I have, and it actually freaks me out, and I can't take it, then that person can take that as they will. They could say, well, I'm never going to change, so you're either going to have to stick with it or not be my mate anymore. It's that. But that communication means you said your piece and they can say their piece, and then you can find either a middle ground or go, well, this doesn't work. And in romantic situations, it's an absolute must. And I never express proper boundaries in my relationships, which is why I'm not in one now. In the end, if you can't express, like some people, we find it impossible to say what we really feel because we don't want to hurt someone else's feelings, or we're just grateful someone likes us. And that's something you've got to get through as well with boundaries. You might lose someone and everyone's terrified of that. You're better off losing someone if they keep stepping over your boundaries, because guess what? You'll diminish yourself around them. You won't be your real self. You'll be whatever you are to please them, and you can't do that. So really, I would say the big thing about boundaries is about saying what you think while a trespass is going on. Or another very good thing to do is get the hell away from a situation so you don't explode and express yourself badly, and have a breathe and stay away from that person, even if it's for a week. Stay away, because what you'll then find then with the boundary thing is you will know how important it is to keep that person in your life. And if it's just a single trespass and they've fucked up this time, right, you can give it enough space to not express it in a way that hurts their feelings if they didn't mean to upset you, and then express it. But I truly believe that setting boundaries really comes from just expressing things kindly and firmly, and then letting the cards fall as they will. And it only takes courage to do it once or twice, and it just becomes a habit. But just remember, some boundaries that you hold are actually fears of a part of you being explored that you don't want to be explored. And some people will keep pushing that, and it might turn out that, yeah, you still needed that boundary because you were protecting yourself, but it might be good to start learning to break that one down. It's a give and take. Communication helps with that. It really does. But just remember, if you don't set up boundaries with people, you will end up exhausted and having the marrow sucked from your bones. And sometimes they won't even know they're doing it. It's just how they are. And once you've established a boundary and then they keep trespassing after that, yeet them into space. You don't need them around you anymore. And it just makes life easier because you have enough involuntary vampirism going on just out there in the world without inviting it as well. So get those walls up against what you don't accept, and you'll have a much easier life. Have a lovely day or night, depending on when you're watching this.